Hi everyone, it's Cathy Zielske. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am so excited to share the Tim Holtz 2019 STAMPtember exclusive, the collaboration with Simon Says Stamp and Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous. This is a really fun set, so let's just jump into the set, shall we? So here it is, the 2019 exclusive, and it's the charming little characters that Tim is known for with really sweet sentiments. They are creepy, but they're also kind of adorable. The bat, loving the bat, but you don't just get the stamps. It's also got a wonderful stencil with two different swirling star patterns, and this is part of the exclusive collaboration. I think it's really fun, and I am excited about the card I made, so shall we begin? First things first, I needed some color. And all I did was I took two Tim Holtz Distress colors. I've got Seedless Preserves and Wilted Violet. I just wanted to create a purple panel. Working it in with a blender brush and blending them together. And it didn't need to be perfect. I just wanted purple. I am a fan of purple at Halloween, and I know it's a classic Halloween color, but these colors are gorgeous. So I blended them out and then set this aside to let the distress ink kind of dry a bit. While that was drying, it was time to stamp my little bat. I think the bat is adorable. There's something about these images. They're creepy, but they're also cute. Now I had to take out my little Misty insert because this is a cling stamp. They're a little bit thicker, and that's why the Misty is so great. It will fit perfectly with cling stamps. I'm using Memento Tuxedo black ink because I am going to do just a very little bit of Copic coloring, and this is a Copic friendly ink. And I'm going to stamp it down twice just to get a really dark impression. Again, another reason why the Misty is amazing. And I'm stamping this on Neenah Solar White. This is the classic Crest 110 pound. Now I'm just going to flip my cardstock and stamp a second image because I wanted to see the difference between one ink pass and two. And I thought I would give this a shot, and I ended up using the one ink pass because really these cling red rubber stamps, they just add a beautiful impression to your cardstock, and I really thought the lighter look was better. I only grabbed gray markers, warm gray markers, super basic. I am a pretty basic Copic colorer. I don't get too fancy, but I wanted the bat to have just enough color so that you could differentiate that he wasn't just on white cardstock. So I filled the entire image with warm gray 0, and then I just worked my way into the details with warm gray 1 and warm gray 3, and just kind of kept going until I thought it looked okay. I almost colored in his fangs until I realized, wait a minute, fangs aren't gray, but I saved the day at the last minute. Very simple. He's gray. He's going to look fantastic. Now there are no dies for this set, but I have been getting pretty handy at the old fussy cutting. So what I like to do is just trim away any extra cardstock that I am not going to need. And then I get out my small sharp scissors. Say small sharp scissors 6 times fast. It's not as easy as you'd think, people. Thank you. But I'm going to work my way around and cut this little guy out. I've got this quite speeded up, and I'm going to jump to the end, but the reality is you can cut out just about anything and it's going to look pretty darn good. I thought this looked fantastic, and he is ready to go. Moving on. I want to stamp the I'm baddie for you sentiment, but I want to isolate it. I just want to make a little sentiment strip for my card. So what I did was got my black cardstock. This is Hero Arts, really lovely black cardstock. And I'm just going to mask off the bulk of the image and leave the sentiment exposed. Then I'll powder up my paper, which I need a lot of powder on there because it's the black cardstock. It really likes to grab that embossing powder. And I'll take my clear embossing ink and just ink right over the sentiment area and then lift up that tape, and it's like magic. Only the sentiment will stamp. All right, giving it some nice pressure. Now when I sprinkled on my powder, I did see just a tiny bit of the top of the image. So all I did was bring in a dry brush and just brush that powder away. As soon as that's away and all clear, it's ready to get my heat tool nice and hot and then bring it to the paper to quickly melt the powder. Now you can see all that excess powder from my powder bag, and that's another reason I think Swiffer cloths are great, because as soon as this is completely dry, I use this cloth for everything. And I do change them out, you know, probably weekly, but it's great for removing powder from dark cardstock. So many uses. Now I'm going to cut the sentiment out using one of my Simon Says Stamp sentiment labels. I absolutely love this set because it takes the guesswork out of cutting perfect label strips. Running that through my die cut machine here. I use a Spellbinders Platinum 6. Really like this machine. It's compact and it cuts great. And there you go. I'm batty for you. And I will be trimming that down and notching out the end as well. While the machine's out, I'm going to cut a panel using one of my A2 Layers dies. This is a set that I go to a lot to cut out perfect panels. And that way it's ready to go on my card base. It's perfectly sized. Next, I'm going to take some Pixie Spray. This is a light tack adhesive that you spray onto stencils, and it helps them to stay in place, but it doesn't mar your project at all. I'm going to spray that on so that the stars will stay exactly where I want them to stay. So I'm kind of visualizing where I want this to be, and I think that design is nice. So I'm going to mask off the areas where I don't want any medium to go, and the medium I'm using is Nouveau Glimmer Paste. This is the Moonstone color. I'm just going to take my craft knife here, my palette knife, and just potch it down. Yes, potch is actually a word. Well, it's not really a word. My daughter invented it when she was like 5. It means to gently press. So we say potch at our house. Potching it down, and then I'm scraping off the excess and putting it right back in the jar. And then I'll remove the first piece of masking paper, and then I will lift the stencil straight up off the piece so that it comes up nice and clean. And I will let that dry for about a half an hour. Next, I'm going to take some black soot, smush it right onto an acrylic block, and then get my paintbrush wet and kind of mix it up to create a little more liquid, and I'm going to start flicking. Just going to flick on some spooky flecks of black. I like this technique. I also like the old hold your finger and tap technique. Really, either will work. That's the good news. However you like to flick, flick away. And there's the result. And again, I will let that dry completely. So I'm going to use some pigment ink in white to stamp my little handmade on the back of my card base. I don't show that very often, but I love white pigment ink on dark cardstock. It works really well. So I'm scoring this. It's going to be top folding. It's a standard US A2 size, so that's 4 1/4 by 5.5 tall. I like to tape it closed because I need my cards to be flat while I'm working on them. And I've got some foam tape on the back. I also brought in a piece of gray cardstock because I couldn't really see very well the black edge against the black media mat. But once I had that gray in there, putting that down with that nice little bit of margin space. I've got little foam squares. This is the thin foam adhesive all over the back of my bat. Placed him right in there. Look at how well he fits. And then I used black foam, thin foam, but I doubled it up. I doubled it up because I wanted it to kind of float above his little tail. And just brought in my T-square to make sure it was lined up. And that's it. That's my finished card project. I think he is absolutely adorable. I am batty for this set. I am batty for Tim Holtz. And it's just really fun. The stencil too, I mean, there's just so much you can do with it. I've got 2 other card projects actually on my blog, and I will have the link below if you want to check out a few more ideas. And of course, as with all STAMPtember collaborations, once this set sells out, it is gone for the year. Thanks so much for watching. I would love to have you become a subscriber to my channel. And if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Thanks for watching and have a great day.